I figured most journalists would not disclose their sources.
Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day. Perhaps.
And Bieber, he dropped this song. It went over our heads. It's actually about P. Diddy this whole time. He even came out and said stuff about how when he was younger, he was being taken advantage of, which is true. The problem was being a victim of the diddler. What happens? Because he has so much dirt on you, if you go out into the public, he may have videos, he may have embarrassing things. He might even have incriminating footage of you doing things that you were forced to under the influence.
You guys don't need to worry about me getting revenge from Diddy. I've got 3 moves that make sure he'll never be able to come after me or my family. First, I personally reached out to the victims' legal teams. The real reason he's not getting out is those buried cases behind the scenes. I provided legal funding for 7 victims who had been silent for years and brought in the top criminal attorneys in the country. Second, I bought up every potential post-release business deal he had lined up. I planned this 2 years in advance, so by the time he got sentenced and still had hope of getting out, every partner had already cut ties with him. Third, I don't just have evidence, I've got backups. This is an entire minefield that's been buried for 20 years. I uncovered every secret from the last 30 years. With testimonies from the victims, we interviewed over a dozen people he tricked, threatened, or violated. You think that's harsh? No, he destroyed other people's lives for decades. I'm just making sure he spends a few extra years in prison for it. I'm not afraid of his people, not afraid of his threats. I know he's still in there fantasizing about a comeback, but the truth is, he's never coming back.
It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just...
Is this real life? I feel crazy. The world is spinning around me. What's happening? You have 4 eyes. I have 2 fingers.
The industry has always had stories it prefers not to explain, where rumors circulate, clips get dismissed, and uncomfortable conversations fade before they ever reach clarity. But now with renewed attention around 50 Cent's upcoming documentary, old narratives are being revisited with a sharper focus, and online discussions have increasingly linked names like Diddy, Justin Bieber, and even references to Epstein Island, not as confirmed events, but as part of a wider internet debate about power, access, and silence in elite spaces, raising the question of why so many concerns around influence were ignored for so long.
Yeah, so as soon as you turn 16, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let you rock this every time you come to LA. Yeah, it's gonna be yours. So tell you, LA, it's a little dusty, but go get the first shot at it.
Man.
And then out. Minute.
Woo. Okay.
Okay.
Alright, so I'm gonna be driving this next year.
Yeah, when you get 16, come down, you gotta, wear your seat.
I mean, I'm 15, you could ride in the passenger seat. I got my permit. Not yet.
No.
Alright, 16.
Not ready. Slow down. Let's slow down, Josh.
Okay.
Let's slow down.
One step at a time.
But yeah, the keys is yours when you get 16. You're good to go.
I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Alright.
Then when you get 18, you get the house. You get the mansion.
Okay. I get the mansion?
Yeah.
Alright. So where are we off to now?
Where would you like to go?
I mean, wherever you want to go. Where are we going?
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher.
He signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full buck full crazy.
I'm going crazy.
Crazy.
I'm taking this out tonight.
What you want to do? What you want to do over the next 48 hours?
48 hours. Let's go. Let's just go get some girls. Let's go hang with some girls.
Man after my heart. That's what I'm saying.
Justin Bieber's rise is often framed as a success story, but critics online point to a more complicated backdrop where, from a very young age, he was surrounded by adult-driven industry environments where fame and access often outweighed normal boundaries. And in broader internet discourse, some even draw symbolic comparisons to discussions involving Epstein Island to highlight how powerful social spaces can blur lines between mentorship and control, with the real concern being less about one individual and more about how normalized exposure to unchecked power becomes an entertainment.
You got people in the industry that's been saying for years, this man is having sex with underage. So now the federal government is looking at that like, yo, when is somebody going to come forward? We got this information, this alleged information, but nobody's willing to come forward. Then they go on to say, yo, Shakur Stewart mysteriously dead. Supposed to be a self-inflicted wound. Person that had everything going for him in their life. Kim Porter dead. Somebody's car gets blown up. This guy is walking around threatening other actors, people. Somebody got to get involved in it. If it ain't the state, let it be the feds. Somebody got to stop it. He lucky that God given him the opportunity to be stopped while he's alive, then have to go to hell and face that shit. He got a chance to repent now, change his life.
You mentioned minors, and a lot of people have been trying to drag Justin Bieber into this situation because there's a lot of suspect looking videos with Diddy and Bieber in it. And
50 Cent has long been outspoken about industry power dynamics, often referencing figures like Diddy in ways that were once dismissed as rivalry or entertainment drama. But as older clips, interviews, and allegations are re-examined in today's climate, his past commentary is being reinterpreted through a different lens, with online discussions sometimes expanding further into broader narratives about elite influence and silence, including references to Epstein-related environments as symbolic. Examples of how warnings are often ignored when they come from influence in music extended far beyond production, as he was widely seen as someone who controlled access and decided who entered certain spaces, who advanced, and who remained outside the circle. And within that structure, proximity became power while access became currency, which is why some online discussions loosely compare these dynamics to broader, elite-only environments often referenced in Epstein Island conversations, not as direct connections, but as symbolic representations of how concentrated influence can operate behind closed doors.
Bentley, maybe, he could buy you one also.
Got me a Lamborghini.
Oh, well, that's nice.
I haven't gotten it yet, though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. When is that coming, that Lamborghini? We talked about this last time.
He had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house, and he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
Well, apparently not. Some things, everything ain't for everybody.
Do you believe the guy in the tape is white?
If he's bigger than Diddy, and he's not none of the names that I said, probably so. But then they say he was young too.
Yeah, they say he was young.
Let me get his name right. I hope it ain't the Bieber. I hope it's not the Bieber.
That's a good one. It might be him. But if they saying that the guy is young and he's an A-lister, I can't think of that many black people, man.
Right. Not at all. And somebody that more powerful, more of a celebrity than Diddy. You understand what I'm saying? If they were saying somebody that was more celebrity than Diddy, he was the A-lister, he was younger. You know what I'm saying? And if he's not black, it would have to be the Bieber. That's his name, Bieber? They said I got that wrong too. Justin Bieber, allegedly. I don't know, bro.
Right. But when you heard the news that Diddy, he had to cheat with another man, did that catch you by surprise or not?
Well, all this shit is by surprise to me. A lot of this shit is by surprise to me, to be totally honest, man. Because I knew Puff. I knew Puff Daddy.
Critics argue that when systems are built on access rather than transparency, boundaries become unclear, and when opportunity depends on proximity to powerful individuals, accountability becomes harder to define, which raises ongoing questions in public discourse about who is responsible for protecting young talent in environments where influence is heavily centralized, and how oversight can realistically function when power itself becomes the gatekeeper of opportunity.
Diddy, before he was Love and Brother Love and back to Diddy. So, no, but the diddler, he's the diddler now. A lot of it's surprising, but it's not unheard of. Because you hear of all kinds of shit, and whether it registered with you or you internalize it or something like that, that's a whole nother story. But a lot of this stuff is crazy, but this is the world that we live in now, man. That these individuals thinks it's all right. Bruh, when does it comes all right to be sitting there eating food off a naked woman? When did we start doing what they do? Let's keep it a buck. When did we start doing what they do? These guys is popping pills. We got Jay-Z dancing with a chick that's into cannibalism.
Years before Justin Bieber's rise, Usher, who also entered the industry at a young age, has spoken about being exposed early to adult professional environments under powerful mentorship, and these reflections are often used in broader discussions about how the industry handles young talent, with some online narratives even linking such generational patterns to wider cultural comparisons, including symbolic references to Epstein Island, not as evidence but as part of a recurring debate about whether structural reform has ever truly occurred.
Might make you change your mind. Look at Lil Nas X. He fizzled out fast too.
So would you say someone like Justin Bieber is a victim? I just seen he is reportedly selling his whole catalog because he's broke.
Yeah. Yeah. And once he finishes getting that money, I don't understand why he's broke. He didn't have to be broke. Usher just wouldn't stop robbing him.
Damn.
I mean, Usher couldn't keep his hands out of his pocket. It's funny. He got him signed and turned over custody to Diddy. Boy was never the same, and neither was Usher's pockets, because Usher's been living off of Justin Bieber's money. He ain't been living off of his own. Because the truth is, Usher don't really make that kind of money. And I'm really just kind of sick and tired of Usher reading. I'm really kind of disgusted with Usher reigning, who does Greek wrestling nude with men over frosted flakes, allegedly. Like, I'm sick and tired of this guy who everyone knows got the Diddy bumps, who's been sued for passing them off and lost, is still sitting there disgracing women in front of their men who bought the tickets to like that whole scheme.
He's causing a lot of divorce courts.
Yeah, but why? He don't even want them. He don't want them women. He's literally doing it just to destroy a relationship.
As scrutiny around Diddy increased, a clear divide formed in the industry where some celebrities remained silent while others like 50 Cent continued to make indirect or direct commentary about long-standing power dynamics. And online, this silence is often interpreted as a form of self-preservation where speaking out risks relationships and stability, while silence preserves them, with broader internet discourse sometimes extending this idea into comparisons with other elite networks frequently referenced in conspiracy conversations, including Epstein-related discussions.
A video of an interview of Justin Bieber, and he was talking about Billie Eilish, and he was like, he was almost in tears. He's like, I just want to protect her. I just want to keep her safe.
Yeah.
What do you think he went through?
Because he knows what's been happening to Billy. Just like everybody knew what was happening to Millie Bobby Brown, girl, with Drake. These people are monsters.
Real life.
It ain't real life. Just saying.
Real life street star. Know what time it is.
Jermaine Dupri said something interesting. He said the reason that R&B isn't as powerful as it is anymore is because children are going to church.
Yeah.
What is it about the transfer from the spiritual to the secular do you believe that's what made R&B so powerful?
Understand this. Rhythm and blues was a combination of gospel and soul music. Because soul music has always been around in one form or another. It's just evolved throughout the years. And you got gospel, rhythm and blues. That's what put that together. That's why they made such a big stink about the Ray Charles incorporating gospel sounds into secular music.
Right.
Because they wanted people to separate the two. This is demon, this is good. The truth is none of that's real. There is no bad, there is no good. There is what is and there is what is not. And that's sad. But when you take the spirit that comes...
Observers often emphasize that not all harm is immediate or officially documented, as sometimes it only becomes visible years later through reflection or changed perspective, which is why these conversations often extend beyond legal definitions into cultural interpretation, where people re-examine environments tied to extreme wealth and influence. And in that process, some online discussions use Epstein Island as a symbolic reference point for systems where power imbalances are believed to go unchallenged.
That just testified against Diddy to the grand jury and had to give up 8 videotapes to the feds that contained celebrities in these freak-offs with Diddy, is now listing some of the names that he saw on these tapes. And this man said that he got these tapes from a very close friend of Kim Porter's, and these were Kim Porter's tapes that she was going to use against Diddy. And some of the names that he says are some that we have heard rumored over the years. He said he saw Justin Bieber on this tape and he appeared to be underage during this time. He also saw Usher on these tapes, and Usher definitely appeared to be underage. And this one gave me the chills because we've heard that Usher is the one that sent Justin Bieber to Diddy. Courtney Burgess sat down with the Too Strong channel here on YouTube and started naming some of the celebrities that he saw on these tapes.
Were kids involved in these parties that you can verify from looking at the tapes?
If Justin Bieber was older, he's supposed to have been. Yes. If Usher was older, well, Usher was definitely young.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? His shoulder part was, the blood was all in his bed. You know what I'm saying? It looked like they came home from a event, a party or something.
Went on to explain how Danny Boy was also in one of these videos with Mary J. Blige and Diddy together. And Danny Boy admitted when he was 15 that Mary J. Blige flew him out to New York and he slept with her while he was underage.
When legal systems become involved, the conversation naturally shifts toward evidence, filings, and courtroom outcomes. But courts only address what can be proven, not the broader cultural system surrounding celebrity influence, leaving a gap between legal closure and public perception. And it is within this gap that online discussions continue to grow, especially when high-profile names are loosely connected in public discourse to wider narratives involving elite influence and Epstein-related conversations.
Danny Boy, okay.
You know what Danny Boy is?
I heard that before. I don't, I've been so far away from hip hop, I forgot, but I have heard that name, Danny Boy.
Danny Boy back then, he looked like he was about 16. They both was about.
He also claimed that Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son, were in these videos, and he also said that there was photographs and videos of Diddy eating off of young girls.
Pictures or images of any of this stuff.
Yeah, I got Justin Bieber, Will Smith's son, just whatever his name is. Other females on the table, they was young. They was eating off them. A lot of entertainments, and then I got calls from certain of them wanting to get the tape out of my hand. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about.
And I have said that if this man testified to the grand jury, the feds had to have some reason to bring him in to actually testify against Diddy. But y'all let me know what you guys think about this man naming all of the people on the Diddy tapes. And
the intersection of 50 Cent, Diddy, and Justin Bieber has become part of a larger internet conversation about celebrity systems where power concentrates upward, access determines opportunity, and silence is often rewarded. And in that discourse, Epstein Island is frequently referenced not as a confirmed link, but as a symbolic representation of hidden influence and elite separation, making this less a story of certainty and more a reflection of how people interpret recurring patterns when trust in systems begins to erode.